Hey, I'm your host, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine, and this is the 12th episode of Jam Fans Forum. This is a show in which expert panelists provide their top picks in various funk and soul music categories. This time around, we're going to dive into the deep end pool with one of the greatest vocalists of all time, my personal favorite female singer, the spectacular and singular Chaka Khan. We'll be spanning her entire career with and without her fantastic band Rufus, taking on the unenviable task of selecting her 5 all-time best studio performances to derive a definitive top 20, or the closest thing to it we can. While the goal is objectivity, as with all Jam fan shows, some subjectivity is inevitable. That's what makes it so much darn fun. Joining me again are 3 esteemed Jam fans. First, we welcome back music and culture journalist and liner notes master A. Scott Galloway. Hey, Scott.
What's happening, everybody? Happy New Year. Chaka Khan. We're about to give you much, much love, baby.
Outstanding. Also returning as radio personality, music historian, TV One Unsung contributor, author, and actor Marcus Chapman.
Hey, what's happening?
Welcome back. Finally, we also welcome back soul and funk music historian and producer of the Soul School television series, Calvin Lincoln.
Hey, how you guys doing, man? Always glad to be in company like this. I'm in my element.
I know.
Well, thank you to all of you for participating and for keeping the funk alive, as always. The full criteria set forth for this discussion is listed in the show description, so check it out there. But before we get into our choices, I know Chaka Khan has a special place in all of our hearts, minds, souls, and libidos. So let's briefly discuss what Chaka means to you personally, and then also talk about your methodology for picking your choices for this episode. So let's dive in on that first with Calvin.
Well, for me, it's a trip because I'm 60, so you can imagine around 74, I was about 9. 75, I just kind of start to like girls and stuff like that. So with Chaka, for me, she was like a sex symbol. It was different. A lot of people were in the, Pam Grier and stuff like that. But when I saw the album with matter of fact, Rufus Eyes was the one. And I saw the guys holding their waist and all that. And then I looked at the inside, I was done, besides the music being incredible, what it was. But when I think about Chaka, I think about a lot. I think about Chicago, all the great people that came through there. Of course, different people like Gladys Knight. My mother was Aretha Franklin, Mahalia Jackson person, but for me, I'm younger. So this was more she was always more on my speed, always more on my speed. And, kind of got a brother into writing poetry because you're scared to talk to girls and stuff. But, you're looking at the album cover with the lips and, there's a whole lot of stuff. Some stuff I can't say necessarily on the show because this is a family-friendly show. This is family-friendly, so we'll keep it there. But anyway.
Oh, man, this is Jam fans. And we're funking on, baby. Let it all hang out.
That's right.
Pearl of a girl, though. Pearl of a girl, man. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then what about in terms of, what methodology did you bring to this?
Well, it's a trip because I'm born in the Bay, but I spent time in LA, so as well as San Jose. I'm talking about like in the early 70s to the mid 70s. So it gave me a chance to get like kind of a range of, what people were listening to. And no matter where I went, the vibe, even more so than the record sales, because there wasn't a lot of media back then, but remembering what the vibe was of the people went into a lot of, like with my methods, probably where I'm going to go tonight besides my own personal thing. And of course, charts and stuff like that. And then back then they would put like record surveys inside your bags. I've talked to Marcus about this before. And a lot of times, depending on what was out or whatever. So I took all of that into account, when actually kind of coming up with my list. But I'm sure it's going to coincide with some of yours. So I'm kind of ready to, to kind of be the Larry Holmes jab thing, get back into the fight. Because I got to feel, when you're on with gorillas like this, they're going to take some of mine. So I'm just ready to do whatever I need to do tonight, to pay tribute to a great,
Yeah. Scott, what about you? What has Chaka meant to you personally? And how'd you go about picking your picks?
The first time I ever remember hearing Chaka Khan was "Tell Me Something Good," which I think most of us that was the case. First single from the second album. I didn't know anything about the first Rufus album, and what a voice. That album cover didn't really show us too much of Chaka. Then the third album, Rufusized. Like Calvin said, the band was having a lot of fun. Norman Seif, the photographer there, got some great images of everybody just having a good time. Yeah. But that fourth album, man, that back cover, I always tell everybody that was my introduction to puberty, along with the Ohio Players' Inside Gatefold of Honey. Those two images of beautiful sisters and very sexy, obviously, clearly sexy, knocked me out. But so that's me being a child and a kid and going through those kind of things. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to interview Chaka in depth a few times, alone and with key members of Rufus, all of us together in a room. And I've studied her music, her lyrics, her everything. And so you'll see from my picks that I just really appreciate the full 360-degree spectrum of who Chaka Khan is as an artist, as a songwriter, as an icon, as a sex symbol. The woman can sing anything, and on her best days, it's just like, the sky has cracked open and you are hearing, an angel straight from heaven. She's amazing. So, Scott, when you originally sent us the very initial thing, you said Chaka's top 5 baddest songs. And so I was thinking, with this show being Jam Fans, that, oh, okay, I'm just going to be dealing with Chaka Funk, and I did a whole list of Chaka Funk. And then when the real in-depth guidelines came in, it was like, oh no. We're gonna have to, like you said, the fans can read it in the guidelines, but it narrows things down in one way, but it also expands them. So we got to include ballads, funk, whatever, everything. And we can only choose one song per album. I told a dear friend of mine, Gina Kronstadt, my nickname for her is String Diva, and she played on a lot of people's records back in the golden days of stuff that we love. And she said, I don't like your dude's guidelines. That's too hard. But I said, you know what? I'm going to roll with it. Like Calvin said, we're going to be in here boxing and duking it out because, everybody loves him some Chaka, and we all dudes here. So it's going to be something. Touche.
Yeah. And I got to say, both your backdrops are awesome. I love all the covers, Scott, and that classic poster, Calvin, man. Talk about rekindling feelings and memories, man. Big time. So, Marcus, what about you? What has Chaka meant to you? What did she mean to you? And how'd you go about your picks?
I would say Chaka is one of the defining artists of my childhood. I got turned on to music really early in life. I was born in 73, but everybody around me was heavy into music. And so I heard Chaka, I saw Chaka, and I have to send a special shout out to my cousin Ramona, because she was the Chaka Khan queen. She had all the Rufus, all the solo stuff, so the matter of fact, years later, I actually ended up giving her a copy of that very poster that Calvin has from the featuring Chaka Khan album, or as I called it as a kid, the one with the mouth on it. So, yeah, I mean, she was just always part of everything, from Rufus to the solo stuff to hearing her at parties, family parties, clubs. And I got a chance to play a lot of her stuff once I got into radio, because when I was in college, I was playing, 70s, early 80s funk, R&B. And so she was in constant rotation, throughout all those albums. I got a chance to meet her and her sister years later. Seen her in concert a few times. So, and I've always been a little biased towards her because she was in a band. There were other funky women who had their own groups or were solo, but she was actually a part of one of the major bands of the time, of the genre. So I've always kind of been biased toward her. In terms of picking the songs, I tried to go with songs that were either you can't think about her without thinking about this song, or songs where her vocal performance was just so strong that even if somebody doesn't know it real well, it's like, you got to know this, you got to hear this one, you know? So that's pretty much what my criteria was overall.
Excellent. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that from all you guys. So, of course, I think in the intro, I kind of made that clear. And on many of these shows, other podcasts, I've made it clear of my history and love for Chaka Khan. I, too, discovered her, at a very young age and when I was still buying 45s. And so, that's how I got started with it. And, when I started getting to the albums, it was just completely getting lost in those and really broadening my palette too, because, at a young age, really mostly had to be funky, and had to be a certain kind of groove. But I made exceptions for Chaka. It didn't matter because she's one of those quintessential people that, could sing the phone book, and I would buy it, right? Because she's just so amazing. The phrasing, just her ability to emulate a sound of a horn, her style, her passion, her power, of course, man, just unrivaled. I had that poster on my wall, like I said, when I was a young teen. I don't know if my parents knew what to make of that, but I think there's actually a video out there somewhere. I got to look for it because when I was in middle school, I was making like student films, and one of them was shot in my bedroom. And I think that is somewhere out there with that poster on my 13 or 14-year-old wall, so I gotta find that. But I never got to meet Chaka, at least not yet, like you, Scott, so I really envy that. But I did have a close encounter with her at a show I saw at the Roxy in 1970, either 77 or 78. It was the Ask Rufus tour, and they played the Roxy, which was awesome. And of course, you can imagine how much she blew the roof off that intimate venue. It was unbelievable. But what was really unforgettable was, at the Roxy, they have these tables that go right up to the stage. And so I was with several friends, and we were sitting very close to the stage. At one point during the show, she walked out on the tabletops, and she ate one of my French fries. During the show, she ate a fry. So she was a trip, man, back then especially. As far as how I made my picks, I tried to go with some variety because, like you're saying, Scott, I mean, to just, put her in a box, you can't do that with Chaka Khan. And I won't consider that. So I'm trying to get a good cross-section of, like Marcus was saying, some that you cannot dismiss or ignore, but also some that are a little more deeper and a little more varied. So this is going to be really interesting and fun.
No question. It's so funny, Scott. That exact same thing happened to me. The first time I got to go see Chaka, I envy you because I didn't get to see original or at least 70s heyday Rufus. But I saw Chaka for the first time for What You Gonna Do For Me tour. I was the youngest person in the building. I was standing in front of the line because I took the bus up there. I got there real early, got a great seat right up on her stage. And what does she do on Tell Me Something Good but walk out on the tables? Yeah, she had, her shoes off. She was using her stocking feet to move people's drinks out of the way as she walked that whole radiated series of tables and back, wailing, Tell Me Something Good. I think I was about 15 at the time, and I almost lost my mind. So, man, you and I are kindred, dude. That is like, we had the exact same experience. I just didn't have any French fries.
I don't know about for you, but during the show I was at, she kept telling them to get the lights out of her eyes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember her saying that. I mean, I think by the time of 81 for What You're Gonna Do For Me tour, the lighting man knew what to do.
Fair enough. All right. That's awesome, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll end up with 20 total picks, plus we'll have some honorable mentions to add to that. I have a feeling it's going to be really competitive, like Calvin was saying. And so have those alternates ready, as I know you will. and let's get ripping and rolling. And I'm going to throw it back to Mr. Galloway to get it going.
Man, oh man. All right, so all my albums are on the wall. So I know for a fact that I wanted to start with a song from the third album, Rufusized, with the black and white cover, the whole band on there. And it's a song called I'm a Woman, I'm a Backbone. It was written by a very dear friend of the band. Her name was Leilomi Washburn. And she used to be in a band with Bobby and Tony before Bobby and Tony got into Rufus. But anyway, I'm a Woman, I'm a Backbone is the first of many songs in Chaka's career where she talked about the power and the badassery of being a woman. And Leilomi, thank you. Oh my goodness, the inside cover. Scott is the dude. I love that. I had Norman Seif sign that for me in there. You can't see it. But my goodness, man, what a song. The lyric, I am a species born to die. Understanding this, I hardly cry. Growing up and out, I carry you. I'll bear your kids and be your mama too. You can't beat that verse, man. Leilomi Washburn. Leilomi was an artist in her own right as well. So this is one of Leilomi's albums. She was a bad woman and she wrote many, many songs, wrote or co-wrote many songs for Rufus, including Your Smile. And man, I was trying to pull my notes up here. My computer's tripping. Boom. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, it's from Rufusized, the third Rufus album, Leilomi Washburn. She also wrote Your Smile. It's a nasty, nasty groove on there. It's Andre Fisher on drums, Tony Maiden on guitar and talkbox, Kevin Murphy on keyboards, and Tony Maiden actually gets to take a great solo too. So, Before the Woman I Am, Before I'm Every Woman, and a couple of other songs that Chaka sang about being that bitch. There was I'm a Woman, I'm a Backbone. Badass Chaka. That's how I'm kicking things off. One of my favorite songs and albums. And now I can't pick nothing else off of it because that's one of the rules. So that's the one I went with.
Well, I don't know if any of you had that as a main one. I had it as an honorable. So
yeah, I'm a woman. I'm a backbone.
Yeah, I'll take that over the Helen Reddy one any day.
And then there's that old one. I don't know where that old one came from. That I can fry it up in a pan. I can do this and that because I'm a woman. It was a TV commercial too. But it was originally a song. Anyway, I'm really dating myself. I'm gonna pass it on now. Sure thing.
Love that pick. Nice and funky. Way to get started. All right. Well, let's just go up and clockwise for me to Calvin for number two. Well, number two for us, number one for you.
Okay. This one is kind of interesting because there was two off of this album. I'm going to go with something off of the Ask Rufus album. There's two on here I really want to go with, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Hollywood. And for me, it's real personal because living in LA twice in the 70s, she talks about what it is to actually really be down there. I like music, kind of what's going on with Claire Fisher and the rolling keyboards and all that kind of stuff. But it makes me think about on La Brea where A&M Records and stuff was. And ironically, somebody from A&M Records is doing a lot of the backgrounds, which is Vesta Williams, which this young lady here, you guys, who definitely was heavily under the influence of Chaka. Matter of fact, if you listen to Sweet, Sweet Love, that's straight Chaka. She would find her way with Congratulations later, but Chaka, you youngsters, we know this, but she was a hell of a inspiration on a whole lot of just different women. But, it's a trip talking about this Hollywood, and this reminds me of a time period when, Go For Your Guns, the Isley Brothers. It was a bunch of different stuff that was out. But
77. Yeah, I don't know if you said the year, but yeah. 77.
And this album, actually, you guys went platinum during a time when the media isn't like what it is now. Going platinum back then was really, really something. And Chaka was, the there's a lot of power in her voice, as he said, and melodically, the chord structure of her vocals are aligned with what's going on with the keyboards and just different stuff. There's just so much to talk about. The jazz, because she was definitely a jazz singer. Anybody knows anything about her, she really, really loved jazz. You can hear it all, in Hollywood, the gospel, a little bit of everything. The strength, as the guys were talking about earlier, she was a powerhouse, but she was smooth also at the same time. There's a little bit of everything in there. So I'm going to go with Hollywood, off the Ask Rufus album. One of my favorites by her anyway.
One of
That's
my
beautiful,
all-time
man.
favorites.
That's a classic.
Yeah. I love that song. And when I was doing the research for this show, the keyboardist that you're talking about, because there's no Claire Fisher on that particular track, no string arrangements. That's David Walensky, brand new to the band, playing keyboards, and Kevin Murphy. So the two of them did that. And
that's right. Claire's on Rufus. Right. I got you.
And when I was doing, Claire is all over Ask Rufus, but I'm sure we'll be getting to that.
Okay.
But yeah, Hollywood, man. I mean, that's like a continuation. It seems like Tony Maiden and Chaka Khan did a few songs. They wrote quite a few songs together. And to me, Hollywood is like a continuation of Pack My Bags, talking about, what it's like, going to Hollywood, leaving, going to go and be try to be a star, try to make my way, do my thing, express myself and all that. So that was one of the things that I picked up on Hollywood. It wasn't in my top 5, but it's definitely one of my favorites. And that whole album, Ask Rufus, you're talking about it being platinum. We're talking about the era when albums, particularly for Black bands, were outstanding. And that album from top to bottom is flawless. It is one of the greatest albums of the 70s. I don't care what genre you're thinking about. That was and remains an amazing record. So it deserves every bit of platinum and more. That's all I have to say, man. Hollywood, great pick. Great pick, Calvin.
Oh, thank you. Now I don't feel so bad. Because I was trying not to be commercial, but a lot of people sleep on that song, I feel. Anyway, they sleep on it.
Yeah, it's okay to be commercial. Don't worry about it. But and that was Andre Fisher's Swan Song, that album. That was the last album with that lineup.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he was OG. Andre Fisher was there from album 1, So
yeah, on drums. Yeah. So,
and his ouster is a whole nother story, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah, Hollywood is one of my all-time favorites. And I'm glad you picked it because it leaves it open for me to pick something else off the album.
Okay, good.
But the only thing I hate about that song, as well as another song on that album, it fades out while she's just wailing. I'm always like turning it up at the end to try to be able to hear every single part she was singing. Because I'm like, how did y'all fade? Because it's got like kind of a long fade out.
Right.
I'm like, how in the world did y'all decide to start fading it at this point? I can understand on the single, but on the album, I'm like, man, let that ride. So that's the only thing. But yeah, that's a great record.
Yeah, man, they are over. You're saying that. I'm thinking, man, they are overdue for like a deluxe treatment of some of that back catalog, and some of those maybe unreleased version, alternate takes, and things like that. If that stuff exists, man, I hope they get it out.
If their masters didn't get destroyed in that fire, a whole bunch of label stuff got destroyed a few years back in a fire.
A lot of things from the Universal MCA library, got burnt up in a fire. A bunch of stuff that was stored just behind Universal Studios. It was really tragic.
Oh wow!
And the reason why there hasn't been any better, more in-depth anthologies, box sets, or whatever, and it's kind of too late for that now because that's just not where the industry is anymore. But with Rufus, they had a great contract that it was great in one sense and bad in another. But it was true band stuff, and everybody has to sign off on anything that happens with Rufus. So that's why when they put out that one best of album, it's a horrible, Target.
Yeah.
Stupid, like it's so ugly and terrible, but everybody has to agree on stuff. And I think that one slipped through because it might have been the only thing that ABC/MCA was able to do. Before they had to have approval from every single member. So that's a piece of info for everybody. That's why we never got the bomb box set anthology, the complete works of with unreleased bonus stuff. It's a real, that's just the way it is.
Well, thanks for those insights, Scott.
Mm.
Great pick, Calvin. Marcus, what do you got for us? Number one for you.
All right. So I would say there are 5 Chaka Khan songs that could be considered her signature songs, that everybody, when you think of her, you think of this song. However, of that 5, there's only one that she co-wrote, and that's the one I'm going with. The classic from late 1975, early 1976. I'm going with Sweet Thing.
Mm-hmm.
See that signature?
Yeah. Yeah, Sweet Thing. I mean, that like I said, it's one of her signature songs. I saw somebody online actually trying to say that the Mary J. Blige version was better. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Right. But I mean, even people who are not well versed or deep into music from that time period, they know Sweet Thing.
Right.
The controversy or the question a lot of people have is whether or not it was what you would call a side piece song. I never thought of it like that, but some people say she's singing about being the side chick, because she said, I wish I was your lover, but I wish you were my lover, but you act so undercover and all that stuff. So I don't know. That's up for interpretation. But
The opening lyric, I will love you anyway, even if you cannot stay.
yeah.
That and Reasons are the 2 most misunderstood soul songs of the 70s. Another episode, Scott. Misunderstood songs of the soul songs of the 70s.
And those were both out around the same time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that one, Marcus. Man, it was one of my main picks, so thanks a lot. Yeah. It went to number 1 R&B, number 5 pop.
Yep.
So
And sold 1 million copies. Which is one thing I noticed is that the album was out for at least a month before the single came out. And that was I noticed that with certain songs from back then, that the people went out and bought the album, and then the record company released the single, and they bought the single too.
Yeah, I think the first single from the 4th album, and another thing is that most record company methodology at the time was always to start with an up-tempo single. And if I'm not mistaken, the first single from that album was Dance With Me.
That was second.
That was second. So Sweet Thing was first?
Sweet Thing was first. Yeah.
Interesting. So they were really doing some different stuff with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Dance With Me and then Jive Talking.
Oh. Well, my only things I don't.
I didn't know that either. I always thought Dance With Me was. Well, we bought the album, so we didn't get the 45s until like what Marcus is talking about later. So I always thought Dance With Me was the first single as myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
They must have got some really great DJ feedback or something, like just tell them, no, this is the one. This is the one. Don't even play. Don't forget methodology. Come with this Sweet Thing. Maybe they were playing it in concert before they recorded it or something, and it was just like, nah, this is what we're coming with. Or Chaka just insisted.
Well, I have some notes I'll just share, but it was 6 weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart. I mean, it's a perfect single. I think
that's
it's
the album, Scott.
Oh, the album?
The album was number 1.
The album, you're right. Yeah, thanks for checking me. You're right. The album was 6 weeks. Number one.
Matter of fact, it ended up being named the number 1 album of 1976 for R&B.
Wow.
Barely edging out Gratitude, which was also number 1 for 6 weeks.
Okay. So it must have came out toward the end of 75 for it to be an album of 76.
Yeah. Well, remember back then, Billboard counted the last 2 months for the next year. So the cutoff date was October 31st.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott, that is towards the end of 75, because remember Rufus Size was at the end of 74 going into 75. You know what I mean? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just saying, I think it was a perfect single, just over 3 minutes, just unforgettable. I never get tired of hearing it. Um, and I of course love the version that she did with Prince on stage. That was really cool. So, yeah, great pick, Marcus. That's my heart right there. Sweet thing, Chaka. Yeah. All right. Well, great. So to close out round one, fortunately, Sweet Thing was not my first choice on my list. So, because I'm trying to go roughly chronologically on my picks this time. So, with that, I'm going back to an album that came out before most of us knew who Chaka Khan and Rufus was, and that's their debut, which had an almost an entirely different lineup aside from Andre Fisher and Kevin Murphy. The other guys were, from American Breed, and they were different, guys entirely. So the band had a little more of a rock edge initially, and Chaka was maybe, I don't know, 17, 18. I mean, just so young and raw talent. And they did a Stevie Wonder cover that got his attention, prompting him to give them a song for the next album. And Calvin's got a copy right there, and I've got a small version. And so the song I'm talking about is Maybe Your Baby, which was on Talking Book a year prior for Stevie Wonder. One of my favorite tracks on that album, one of my favorite Stevie tracks, period. And because of that, I mean, come on, taking that track on after how Stevie did it a year earlier, I mean, you got to be ballsy. I mean, you got to have some serious chops and some nerve to do that. And she does it justice, man. She kills it. So funky. It showed right out of the gate that she could just sing with the kind of fire and passion that nobody could, in my opinion, surpass. Maybe there's some that could try to equal it, but it was just phenomenal. So fierce. And it wasn't a single. The single from this album was actually Whoever's Thrilling You Is Killing Me, which got to number 40. And I don't know if you can see the inside there. Is that? So to me, this is where Chaka proclaimed her signature sound. I mean, it was already fully formed with those yells and those screams and her whole thing. She had the sound right out of the gate. And Maybe Your Baby is a great example of that. So I think it would not be outrageous to say, is it as good or better than Stevie's? I think it challenges it. So Maybe Your Baby, my first pick.
Great to hear that Stevie song from a woman's point of view, too. And then she would later do more Stevie stuff or stuff that Stevie sang before she did. Man, got to bash MCA, though, for on that reissue that you just held up, because the inside is completely incorrect. The wrong band. The inside? Did you notice that?
That's terrible.
That's terrible, man. Anyway, this is why the band, I don't know, man. Yeah, they are due for a really good anthology, somebody to come in and really do them right. Because, that CD insert, that's blasphemous. I mean, that's just somebody who didn't even do any research. But I'm off my soapbox. Great pick, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, that's the MCA lineup
Camouflage.
there.
Yeah, that's camouflage. Individual portraits inside of the first portraits from the last MCA album inside of the cover of the first ABC album. I mean, how horrific can you get?
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. I hate when people do that. Like, even online, people will put up posts like, Ohio players, and it's like the everybody up lineup. I'm like, man, come on. You couldn't find one of the gazillion pictures of the classic lineup. Like, come on, dog. Yeah.
Not everybody up. Marcus, damn.
Trust me, I saw that recently.
For some reason, that some of those pictures just get around a lot. People just don't care, or But I get chills. I get chills and goosebumps when I hear Chaka singing a track like that. So.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting too, because it wasn't a single or popular song, wasn't a hit. But if it wasn't for them remaking that, maybe they don't get Stevie coming to the studio to give them a song, So.
Yeah.
And
All
at that
right.
time, they were a brand new group, so I imagine that their live set included a lot of covers. That's just how it was. And that was probably one of them that they did live, and Shaka killed it. And it's like, yep, we're gonna have to do that for the album. That would be my intuition.
Makes sense. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Scott, you're up again. Number 2, round 2.
All right. Like I said, over the years, I grew to really love and appreciate the 360-degree spectrum of everything, all the women that Chaka Khan is and will forever be. So my second choice is something that was like seriously autobiographical and a wonderful piece that she composed for her 2007 album, Funk This, which was right after she left Warner Brothers, and also after she did the album on Prince's NPG label. She did it for Burgundy Records on Sony. And anyway, the album was called Funk This, and the song is called Angel. Man, this is, we all love and respect Chaka, but we know Chaka been through a lot on this planet. And the song Angel, she really touches deeply into it on a level of one of her dear friends and surely mentors, Joni Mitchell. I mean, it's just some really wonderful songwriting from her. I just pulled the first verse to share. She says, troubled little angel, inconsistent, flying blind most of the time, drama queen, preening and untangling feathers in her wings, captured by her dreams. Desperately, she sings, needy little baby, open up your heart. Don't you be afraid to feel. Needy little baby, hiding deep inside. Don't you know your love can heal? The whole song is incredibly deep. It's a wonderful, wonderful deep dive performance from Chaka vocally. It's a deep or even deeper dive for her lyrically, emotionally, autobiographically. She co-wrote it with Big Jim Wright, James Big Jim Wright, who was the keyboardist and member of Sounds of Blackness, who was brought into the forefront by Jam and Lewis on their record label. And it was a beautiful thing. Something I've always loved to talk to Chaka about is writing songs and her collaborators and how these things came about. So it's not a song that a lot of people know. I don't believe it was ever released as a single, but when that album came out, it was the go-to song because it was like, man, our girl is just carved open and shared her a big piece of her heart, a la Janis Joplin, So yeah, Chaka Khan, Angel, from her solo album Funk This, 2007, masterpiece.
That was around the time I met her. I met her at an event that a guy who owned a record store here had done, and the album wasn't finished yet, so it wasn't out. But that was the album that she was working on at the time. And I remember right as it was about to come out, I remember her sister saying something about, that was the one that they were going to be pushing. So when I heard it on the air, I'm like, okay, they finally got it done. I remember that.
Nice. So maybe it was a single. And if it was a very unorthodox song to be chosen as a single because it's deep with a capital DEENP. Classic.
I was just glad she came back to some funk too on that record. And I think, hadn't it been a few years from her prior record on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think, after leaving Warner Brothers, she did the thing with Prince and, that did what it did. And then she, probably had some time off and came back with that. And I'm sure during that time off, I would imagine that she went through some things, and that's why we got a song that particularly deep at that time.
Well, good deep dive, Scott. You guys know that one?
Girl.
I've heard it. But I haven't really musically studied it, but I've heard it. I've definitely heard it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has a music video and everything. There's a very simple black and white music video of her singing it in front of a piano with headphones on, and she's singing into a mic. Nice and simple, just pouring her heart out.
Hey, Scott, now that was MPG Records?
No, that one was on Burgundy Records,
Oh,
which was
Burgundy. Okay,
distributed through Sony BMG. So it
gotcha.
came after the Prince record. The Prince record was the first thing she did when she liberated herself from Warner Brothers, like Prince was liberating himself from Warner Brothers. So they had that in common. And then some years off, and then the Burgundy album, which was called Funk This, 2007.
Didn't she have one? I can't remember if it was before that or after that. It was called Classic Con.
After.
That was after. Yeah, okay. Because I remember hearing her talking about that on Tom Joyner's show.
Yeah, that's another deep record, but yeah, that was mostly all covers, all things that inspired her when she was coming up, some of her favorite stuff.
Yeah.
This Prince record, I think, is 98. So that would have been like 8 years between projects there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott. Let's keep it moving on to Mr. Lincoln for number 2.
Okay. There's 2 things on this album that I want to go with, but I'm going to go with the lead single, which is I Feel For You. Now, 1984, this was a real trip time for me because I was listening to a lot of different stuff. I was on the Cameo, She's Strange, and all that kind of thing. And my mother was really tripping a little bit later, but it was around the same time on The Private Dancer when that dropped. But for me, this was the joint. I fell in love with it from the very beginning of Melly Mel's rap. The keyboard lines I thought were very, very integral. There was 3 or 4 different keyboard players, and I would find out later, because I was a huge fan of the System, that David Frank of the System is playing on some of that, as well as like Reggie Griffin, Rayford Griffin.
Drummer Rayford Griffin's brother,
and a couple other people. It wasn't just me. I mean, everybody. I mean, if you had a boom box or whatever, and I was in the projects at that time, and out the windows, cars, everywhere. This was all that you really, really heard, and people, because it was a different kind of vibe for her. It was different from, What You Gonna Do For Me and some of the other stuff that she had done. It was very partyable, it was danceable, and I was just starting to really get into DJing. I had the Radio Shack mixer that they used to have in there for $119. They had the little cheap $69 one where you couldn't hear.
Realistic, yeah.
The realistic, but I was lucky. I had the one for $119, so you couldn't tell me nothing. I did a lot of mixing with that particular track. And matter of fact, you guys remember there was a promo 12-inch that they came out with first that had kind of like just like a pink and a bluish kind of thing, and that had like the not so much the long 12-inch version, but it was a very long version of it anyway. But I Feel For You. This was another one. This is one of my all-time favorites for sure. Yeah, great work.
It's funny because that was a good timing because we just mentioned the Prince thing, and then you got
and then
Prince
that's
song.
right.
And
That's right. And I forgot about I forget about Prince. Yeah, I was huge on the System and Kraftwerk, during that time. So I was in, different sound, Pet Shop Boys, just different type of stuff that I was listening to keyboard wise, just because it was different from the ARP Ensemble or the Odyssey or even like the the Rhodes or the Wurlitz or anything. Everything was different about it. She came hard with this, and of course, vocally, as I forget which one of you guys said it earlier, powerful, just powerful, powerful.
That's one of the 5 songs.
That's one. Oh man,
that's one of the 5 signature. Matter of fact, I know in her autobiography, I remember she said that was like a ball and chain for her. In terms of performance, she's sick of it. At least when she wrote it, she was sick of it. And when I saw her the second time, she did that first. It was almost like, okay, I can't fight it. Let me just get it out the way. So she came out the gate singing that.
Definitely remember her saying that she hated, at first.
I remember when she was on the Grammys and Melly Mel came out and rapped it and they played it live. Did you guys see that back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was special.
I'm sure I did.
Probably.
I'm sure I saw that back in the day.
I just came across it on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, Melly Mel walked out and we were looking like, oh, wow, and the band played it live. It was interesting, man. It was very interesting.
Yeah, Chaka has said at different points in the past that she hated, or she really got quickly sick of, the Chaka Khan, the scratching of her voice. She didn't, that kind of started to get on her nerves after a while. And I was working in retail when that came out, and that single definitely preceded the album. And people lost their minds. We used to play the 12-inch in the store, and we couldn't keep it in the store, man. I worked at Warehouse Records in the Fox Hills Mall in California, in Los Angeles. And, so many elements coming together on that, like you guys said, it's a Prince song, I Feel For You, that he recorded on his second album. You got a Stevie Wonder sample in there of the harmonica from Fingertips from back in the 60s when he was little Stevie Wonder. You got the hip hop element with Melly Mel, as well as rapping and the turntable scratching. I mean, it was just a big amalgam of Black music history, kind of a mini version of that incredible scene from the movie Sinners, where so many aspects of the history all come together in one place. I Feel For You. I'll never forget it, man. That single blew people's minds, and we sold a ton of it, particularly the 12-inch, and it was great. And I do have to make a correction of myself. Earlier, I said that Chaka Khan came out after Funk This. It came out in between. It came out in 2004, and then Funk This came out in 2007. So my bad. My apologies.
But Scott, you brought up something. You just jarred something to me when you were speaking about what was going on. Remember, the music video also, you just made me think about it, was trend-setting because you had the glove that was scratching. You had Shabba-Doo from Soul Train, the guys from Breaking in the music video. That was very, very hot. And that was real hot. So it's, like you said, encompassed so much.
Yeah, she's standing in front of a chain link fence. She's got the beret on, she's, stylish, but hood. And oh man, it was definitely an iconic unintended moment for her and for Black music, for sure.
And as much as people say negative things about record companies, that's one case where we had to give Warner Brothers credit for, not for the song, but she said that they were pushing her and Aretha Martin to do something where they could sell some records, because they had been kind of into the jazz stuff on the album before that, so they weren't moving as many units. Like, hey, we want to move some units. And so that kind of prompted them to kind of tap into what was going on with the hip hop stuff and all of that. They may not have done that if they hadn't been pressured to, try to come up with something that was going to hit, and it ended up being a number one hit. R&B,
I'm sure the Black music department at Warner Brothers said, no, Streets is saying, this is the one. Or if it wasn't the Streets, it was the Black music department that said, no, we're not starting with no Through the Fire. We're not starting with no, this is my night. Whatever else was on that record said, we're starting with this one. It just has all the elements, and they were right.
And he crossed over too, number 3 pop.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. Thank you, Calvin. Marcus, what's your number 2?
All right. So I'm going to go with a song that I remember when it was out, but I appreciated it much more like around 2007, 2008. I'm in Chicago, and the house music DJ started playing this a lot around that time. And matter of fact, it might have been like 04, 05. They started really playing this at different parties I was going to. And I knew the song, but it hit different when I heard it in a club, and it really made me go back and not just check for the song, but for the whole album. And what's interesting is that, I don't know if you all remember, before Chaka got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rufus was close to going in. And they even got to a point where they announced which members would go in if they went in, but they didn't end up going in. And they didn't have the guy who wrote this song and several other songs included, who was Hawk Walensky, which would have been a tragedy. He wrote this song, and it is what we call a banger. I'm going to the collaboration with Quincy Jones, 1979. I'm going with Any Love.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Any Love ain't no joke.
All right now. He picked that one over Do You Love What You Feel? All right now.
I
Yeah,
went with that one
Go on,
because Do You
Marcus.
Love What You Feel is a duet. So you get Tony in there doing his thing as well. But Any Love is just Chaka, and she, after a certain point, she just starts killing it, wailing.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I got to go with Any Love.
That's a badass cut. That's all I got to say about that. Hawk Walensky, back to back. Do You Love What You Feel? And then on the album, the very second song is Any Love. And man, it was just back to back club smashes. They still feel great to this day.
Yeah, Quincy's production on that is crazy too. Just real sterile. Real sterile.
Did you have the
John
cover?
Robinson
Show the cover,
on the
Marcus?
drums.
I have the CD.
Is it open?
Yeah, actually it does. It
I
has
like
original.
Yeah.
It's not they just put it in black and white, but yeah, it does open. It's the original pictures and everything, and then that was the back cover.
So cheap.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's
MCA
Quincy,
CD
yeah.
reissues. Yeah, that picture of Quincy is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they on the
I
phone.
lost it, so
Yeah,
All right.
man.
Well, nice pick, Marcus. Thank you for that. All right. So I'm going to keep with my sort of rough chronological order.
great pick.
I'm going to the second album, and I'm not going with the track that I think was mentioned but not picked yet. I'm going with a different one, and that's the one that led off the second album. This track to me is one of the baddest funk rock jams of the 70s. You Got the Love.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Chaka killing it, of course, and I think an uncredited Ray Parker Jr., I believe, doing lead guitar. At least that's what they say. It doesn't say that on the record, but maybe you can confirm that, Scott, if you got it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But
Always listed
My
as a writer.
understanding is that Ray Parker, who was a teenager, and Chaka, who was a teenager at the time, co-wrote the song. And so in the writing process, of course, that means Ray wrote all the but I believe that the electric guitar solo was by band member Al Siner. So that's my intuition. Ray Parker played the rhythm part and Al Siner played the guitar solo, which is a fuzz rock guitar solo.
yeah, well, it's tasty as hell, and the track went to number 1 R&B, number 11 pop. I actually didn't realize that it was that successful crossing over, because I didn't hear it until later, really, because I was, on the other track that I'm not going to say because someone else may pick it. But yeah, so it actually was bigger on the R&B chart-wise than that other track, which is amazing to me. But this one, kind of like my first pick too, except for this is an original for them, really just showed how she could sing funk rock and just in such a fiery way that few others rivaled or even attempted to do. And this was the last record too, Rags to Rufus, with this particular lineup.
Right.
Tony Maiden and Bobby Watson came in after this. I don't know if they came in at the tail end of recording this at all, but they, so they came in for the next one after this. Co-produced with Bob Monaco and the group. And, just so everyone knows, the lineup at that time, because I don't know if we'll talk about him again, Al Sincer on guitar and vocals, Rod Stockard on keys, Dennis Belfield on bass, and then Andre on drums, as we've said, and Kevin Murphy on keyboards. So, show the inside. It's pretty cool. Gatefold.
And I guess we could share the story as to why the lineup changed briefly. I know it. I'm sure.
Well, I think part of it was they didn't dig the direction that the music was heading, and I think they were a little, not so cool with Chaka taking the limelight away from the band so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, she got a button on there, and it would get worse as years went on, as far as what happened on the album covers. But no, I think, but the sanitized, more kind story is that a lot of the white guys in the band wanted to be studio cats. You know, they didn't want to go out on the road and promote and play this stuff. Like Dennis Belfield wrote 2 or 3 songs on that record. And he was more of a songwriter producer cat. Al Siner, guitar player. They wanted to be session dudes. And the band was doing really good on the R&B charts. And Leilomi was already their friend. And like I said, Tony and Bobby came out of, I'm going to find the name of that band from before I go to my next pick. They were in a band together. And so it just all, coalesced that, we need a different kind of presentation behind Chaka, who was obviously the breadwinner of the group. And so they changed it to, a pretty much all black lineup with Kevin Murphy remaining. And he's the one that kind of put the band together anyway, from originally being in the American Breed and all of that stuff. And they were also called Smoke before they were Smoke, then Ask Rufus, then Rufus. There's a whole lot of stories about that band and the evolution of it. But yeah, the general version is that the White Cats kind of wanted to do more studio stuff once they got to LA and have that kind of a life. And so, they got the brothers and they were able to be more of a strong performing unit with Tony and Bobby in the mix. And Chaka could really get much freer and funkier.
Now, was Bobby and Tony, they were playing behind Billy Preston around that time too also as well?
They played with him, just like George Johnson had been in Billy Preston's band. He brought Lewis in there as well. Tony and Bobby, it was really quick for Tony and Bobby. Tony and Bobby were just hot LA dudes, and they played with a few different people. Everybody loved them, and they landed in Rufus. If you go on YouTube and pull up Bobby Watson videos, I mean, he has told his side of all of it. He did a whole series of videos talking about the story of Rufus. So I highly recommend everybody check those out.
Yeah, I've seen them. I wish we did more of them.
Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Scott. Marcus, did you want to chime in on some with that?
Oh, I was going to say that was my first time hearing that version of the story of them wanting to just be studio cats, because Chaka said they just got ticked off because she got singled out by the record company and they quit. So
that would have been really super immature because they had to see that coming. They were good musicians. Chaka Khan was a one of a kind, like anybody that saw her, even at that young age. This is not just a badass chick singer. This is somebody we've never heard sound like this before. So if they had a problem like that, then that was super immature on their part.
Hey, it happens. It's the music industry.
Yes, sir.
There are people who've done stuff like that.
Well, also sometimes substances, make you less mature also. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. So that was the last one for round 2. Round 3, time for Scott to come in with his third pick.
Once upon a time, there was a young woman who was born, and her parents named her Yvette Marie Stevens. They named her Yvette because they were jazz fans, and they loved a song written by Gigi. No, either, let me pull my notes up. I do not want to mess up. It's a jazz cat named Gigi Grice. And he composed a song called Yvette. And so prophetically, jazz became a very big part of Chaka Khan's repertoire, her story, her DNA, her spirit. And so first, jazz-wise, she did a cover of Night in Tunisia, a lyricized, version of the great Dizzy Gillespie song, A Night in Tunisia. On her third album, What You Gonna Do For Me? That's not the one I'm gonna pick. On the very next album, Chaka Khan, her fourth record, she did this amazing piece of work called Bebop Medley. The medley was arranged and produced by the great Arif Mardin. And this is a song, a medley that included several jazz classics, lyricized. Chaka really, really gets to showcase her vocal power, her jazz chops, and everything on this tune. And I believe she had already also done a straight ahead jazz record entitled Echoes of an Era, which Scott would not allow me to include anything from because it wasn't a Chaka record. But Chaka had done a record called Echoes of an Era with Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke, Joe Henderson, Freddie Hubbard, I believe, and the producer Lenny White, who's also a drummer. So all this jazz stuff was swirling around for Chaka, but by the fourth album, she does this funky four on the floor dance piece that is all classic jazz songs. She does Hot House, which was a Tad Dameron song made famous by Dizzy Gillespie. She does East of Suez, which was a Lou Stein song made famous by the Charlie Ventura Big Band. Epistrophe by the great Thelonious Monk, Yardbird Suite from Charlie Parker, Con Alma, Dizzy Gillespie, and it all comes to an end with Giant Steps by John Coltrane. This is, again, an amalgam. This is what Chaka has always been so great at. It's a funky dance tune of serious, hardcore bebop jazz songs from the 40s. The band was Steve Ferroni on drums, Will Lee on bass, Robbie Buchanan on keyboards, Hiram Bullock on guitar, Eric Weisberg with a little part that included a sitar, which I believe was in the East of Suez part of the song. And Joe Henderson, who was on the Echoes of an Era straight ahead jazz project, is featured on tenor saxophone on the song. So if you this might have won a Grammy as well. I meant to look that up. I will before we get off this broadcast. But yeah, bebop medley from the fourth album by Chaka Khan is so badass musically. I mean, just on a whole nother level. The mix of funky, danceable, four on the floor funk with serious bebop jazz. That's my number 3.
Love that one. Nice pick.
Killers. Everybody that you named, Joe Henderson was, ooh, God. Yeah.
Yes.
Monster.
Bebop medley with all these songs, blended together and arranged by the great Arif Mardin. Man, masterpiece. Again, just incredible. And Shaka's singing on it. It's lead singing. It's harmonized, overdub backing vocals where she's her own horn section. And I just, my God, I mean, just please go and listen to that from the Chaka Khan album, 1982. Incredible.
Nice. All right. Well, I think you comprehensively covered that one. Nice pick. Thank you, Scott. Calvin, number 3 for you.
Okay. Going with something from the Rufus LP. An old Bobby Womack remake, You're Welcome, Stop On By. Now, you know what's interesting about that? He mentioned jazz. I could really kind of go on a whole deep thing about that. That song, before I even get to where I want to go, that song is probably, of the 3 versions, because I think Bobby Bird and Vicki Anderson did a version. Of course, Bobby's is him being the master that he is or whatever, but her vocal performance on this is crazy. And speaking on jazz players, this is when Nate Morgan was in the band, and I knew Nate. Him and my brother used to play together. You talking about somebody who could play. He was on Nimbus West label, had a bunch of jazz albums, but even before that, he was with Willie Hutch, on the Foxy Brown soundtrack. Nate was bad. He could play. Then a local. Yeah, you knew Nate too. Yeah. Matter of fact, he went to Lock. I think he went to Lock with Michael Nash and all of them. But man, you talking about bad. But her performance of this, as great as Bobby Womack says, and I don't like to get into this thing of comparing because everybody's as unique and is the original, but her performance on it puts it over the top, and hers is basically, well, Rufus and Chaka's is the version of Stop On By. That is actually really, really the one. Yeah. when I think of Stop On By, and like I said, I really don't want to do a disservice to Bobby Womack, because anytime you can take something like that, and his version was a monster, just like I Can Understand It before New Birth did it and all of that. He's, he is what he is. I'm in love. Rufus, Wilson Pickett, a lot of stuff that he was writing. But Chaka, like you said, man, she could take something and run with it and make it her own. Very few people can do that. You can maybe Marvin Gaye, people like that, but she had it like that. Stop On By, Rufus and Chaka Khan. Powerful, powerful performance.
Check this out.
Sure.
I don't know who, if it was my dad, my mom, or one of my sisters, but whoever in my house, they bought the quadraphonic version.
Ooh.
And on this one, Stop On By, you know how it fades out and comes back in? It doesn't do that on this one. It goes straight through, and it doesn't have that saxophone that comes in at the end.
Yeah.
It's like a totally different sound, because I always knew this version, and then I heard the other one, because this was the one we had at home, and this is the one I played, on the radio when I got So when I found the other one, I'm like, wait, what? So
Hey, Marcus, thank you, man, because now you learn something new every day. I'm getting ready to find it. I'm going to have to go find it.
Matter of fact, it even looks different, the label. If you look at the label.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, no, that's an incredible song. Bobby recorded that on his album Looking for a Love, and and that version that Rufus and Chaka did is actually a duet between Tony and Chaka. And the saxophone solo because the song fades out on Rufus' Eyes, and then it fades back up. And you can tell a saxophone solo was overdubbed over the same little outro vamp that was done on the original take. The sax solo is by Greg Adams of Tower of Power.
Okay.
Yeah, man. And what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, man. That Bobby Womack tune. And then poor Bobby, like you said, man, Bobby got song-jacked by New Birth. He got song-jacked by Rufus. He had nice versions, but the badass versions were by other people. And that's all right, because Bobby also, although he was an incredible performer, he was really an incredible songwriter. And so as long as some checks was coming to his mailbox, I don't think the brother was mad at all.
Did any of you guys see them perform that on Mike Douglas in 1975?
Sure
they played
did.
live. Ooh. Yeah. You seen that, Marcus or Scott?
I know there's a clip. I can't remember if I watched it.
Yeah, I think it's been a while, but I'm familiar.
Yeah. Tight.
Saw it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what a great closer to a great album, too. Yeah. I mean, that's the way you tie it up.
And that was a top 10 hit for Bobby Womack. So for them to even try it and take it over like that shows how great they were.
Yeah.
No question. And it's another side, I'll just say, of that band. You had great songwriters in that band. They chose wonderful outside material to do that wasn't already recorded. They picked great stuff, and Chaka continued that into her solo career. But if they covered something, again, with the exception of that jive talk, that's one of the only things they did that I didn't really feel. But most of the time, they just knocked stuff out the park with their covers of it, and that was all of them in the studio, vibing and coming up with those arrangements, those everything, Oh man, what it would have been like to have been just present in the studio when they were creating arrangements and or new material. What a band. What a band.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this is about Chaka, but they deserve their credit and they should be in the Hall of Fame too, as Marcus was bringing up earlier. But I also love too, as much as I love Chaka, that they had an instrumental on every album, because a lot of those instrumentals kick ass. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Chaka would get co-writing credit on those too. That's one thing I haven't asked him about yet. She would get co-writing credit on those instrumentals. I don't know if she was tapping a cowbell or what she was doing. But yeah, absolutely amazing band.
Was it Mike Douglas where she did some drum stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the later show. But the first one in 75, I have all three of them. They were on again for Master Jam, but that was like kind of lip sync or whatever. But the one from '75, they played live. They want you to get started live, and they did Stop on By live. I mean, and you could tell that Bobby was the MD. You know, he was directing the band. You know, tight.
The good old days, man, in every way. Those were the good old days, man. Live on TV.
All right. Thank you, Calvin. Marcus, what do you got in store for us for number 3?
All right. I'm going to go with an underrated hit. It was a hit, but you don't really hear that much about it. I think partially is because maybe the album wasn't quite as good as the previous ones. But this particular song, I always kind of thought of it as the companion to Hollywood, not in terms of the lyrics, but in the feel of the music. And they both remind me of that time so much. I'm going to go to 1978 to the Street Player album. I'm going with the single Stay.
That was one of mine too, man. I was saving that. You finally got me, man. That was one of mine.
Yeah, man. The Street Player with the double. I'm sure you got the vinyl, so we can see it even better. Yeah, I used to have that. Yeah, man. But that stay. That's just a straight groove, the way they do it. And then when the solo comes in, and then Chaka comes back, and she starts wailing away and cools it down again, and it's a great performance from her and the band. It's always been one of my favorites.
And then also Helen Lowe of Side Effect is helping her dub those background vocals. Helen Lowe was a monster.
Yeah.
She was another one, you know.
Yeah, don't get me started talking about that Side Effect out. That was another one we had at home. That album cover with the bank in the safe. Yeah. That's one of my favorite images from being a kid, man. Yeah, and that keep that same old feeling. That's a whole nother thing. We ain't gonna go into that. Always there, yeah. So Stay is my third pick.
That's another.
I think Tony and Chaka wrote that, right? I think that's a Tony and Chaka song.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's Moon.
Yo, Moon Calhoun. Thank you.
Oh, his only
drummer, Moon Calhoun.
Yeah.
He was only with them for that one album, but did he make a contribution?
Yeah.
Thank you, Calvin. Man, I'm getting old, man. I hate when I make mistakes, man. I hate it when I make mistakes. I knew that. I interviewed Moon. He's no longer with us, but I talked to him about that whole thing, man. Yeah, that was his beautiful contribution while he was there.
Why was he only on one? Do you know?
Oh, that one, we had to save that story. Yeah, he was, but he was replaced by John Robinson. So I'll just say that, and then we'll leave the rest. That's another time. Yeah, Robinson was just come on.
Yeah, as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah, JR.
Marcus, I don't know if I had that as an alternate, so love that pick. It's like 6 minutes. That song is just an oral journey. It's just like so cool the way it goes places.
Yeah.
That whole album is a mood, just like Ask Rufus was a mood, except Ask Rufus to me was perfect. Street Player, I just don't understand the title track, and then the very last track, Change Your Ways. Those two songs, I was like, they've just been a couple of things that were stronger. Street Player would have been the bomb, but that's all right because it left the door open for Quincy to come in and boom, master jam.
Yeah, I think they missed Andre Fisher. I mean, they weren't the same without him because his drumming was just so funky,
Yeah, and his production stuff. I mean, that was Claire Fisher was his uncle, and that Andre Fisher went on to become a very wonderful record producer. He produced Natalie Cole, which was his wife for a while,
right, yeah.
and he did an absolutely gorgeous, amazing record for Nina Simone called A Single Woman. And he did a Milt Jackson jazz record. No, man, Andre Fisher is an all-around dude. He was all around.
Great pick, Marcus. Thank you for that one. Robbed me of an alternate on that one. So now you've got two that I have on my list here. And so because of your first pick, I'm pivoting to this one here. So it would have been one of yours, but I'm going to a different ballad. And this one is going to be my pick from Ask Rufus. And so which will it be? It's going to be Everlasting Love. So
Yes.
love that track. It is so smooth, just the way she starts out in that deep register. Like I really hadn't heard that from her before. And she was like doing and trying new things. And of course, the melody and just the way she rises the intensity and brings it to the climax. And the little groove it has, it's got a little bit of a funk thing happening, a little bit of the bass, you know. And that's the thing on Ask Rufus. It wasn't as overtly funky as some of the other albums, but there's subtle funk interwoven, you know, throughout a lot of it. And maybe in that way, it's almost maybe a little more sophisticated, some might say. But love that one. I think I have some other notes here about it. Let's see. It was a third single from the album. Got to number 17 on R&B. Written by Hawk, Belfield, and Kevin Murphy are credited. Mary J. Blige also covered this one in 1996, besides Sweet Thing. And this album spent 3 weeks on top of the R&B chart. Got to number 14 on the pop chart. And we touched on it earlier, but just, you know, there was tension in the band. Of course, this was Andre's last one, as we mentioned. But also, I know they were, you know, like you were talking about earlier, with maybe some possible jealousy within the ranks and within the band. I've heard this was a surprise to them. They didn't know the cover was going to be like this, with them tiny and Chaka huge.
I've heard the same story.
They didn't
Yep.
dig that. So there was definitely rising tensions within the ranks for many reasons. This is around the time, as I said, I saw them at the Roxy. Unforgettable, one of the top concert going experiences of the hundreds I've been to in my life. So Everlasting Love, beautiful.
Yeah. And Shaka didn't even know that ABC Records was going to do that and make her so big. And then the inside gatefold, just Shaka. And the front cover, she's big and they're tiny. You know, that wasn't anything. Shaka was not, look at that. Shaka was not trying to be that woman like that, you know, but like I said, when you go all the way back to that button on Rags to Rufus and you just see the progression of the album artwork, it was very clear that, you know, they were going to be featuring and pushing and promoting and showcasing Shaka. And how could you not? You know, they really didn't have to do that. Her talent was so large. They didn't have to stick it in your face like that, you know, but which is a shame. But my hat's off to those guys, man, because, you know, Tony and Bobby and Kevin, I mean, they hung in there for a long time, you know, and dealt with it, because I think they, at the end of the day, understood who they had with them, you know, and they were very instrumental in assisting her too. You know, they helped her. You know, she was badass, but they were her brothers and they helped her a lot as well. So that's my take on it.
You know, the irony in that, though, is that ABC did all of that, and when she went solo, she went with Warner Brothers.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, no, well, ABC ceased to exist by the time, you know, I mean, they were just about done after that Street Player
Was
album.
it MCA that kind of, I'm trying to remember. MCA.
Yeah, they got
Well,
bought
they
by
got
MCA.
absorbed. Yeah, they got absorbed into MCA. But ABC was a bad label, man. Steely Dan, John Clemmer, Three Dog Night, BB King. I mean, they had some great A&R at ABC, man. I don't know if it was drugs or if it was, you know, other bad business stuff, or you know, I don't know why ABC, you know, I'm sure there's a very well-known story, but I don't know it in depth enough to speak on it. But it's a shame, because it was a really good record company.
That subject actually came up in several Unsung episodes that I was, because that happened with the Dramatics, Lenny Williams. So I remember that coming up in the last time, and the producers note was like, how many times have we talked about this?
Right.
Hey, we're through 3 rounds, guys. Time for number 4. Leading it off, Scott, what do you got?
Ooh, now these last two, it was really, really difficult. But again, I'm going with the all around songcraft because I'm glad other people are kind of, more hit oriented because I'm not. And Roll Me Through the Rushes is from the debut solo album, Shaka. The big hit on that record, may or may not be discussed later, is it's iconic, the hit from that album. But oh my God, this one, Roll Me Through the Rushes, man. It was, first of all, it was composed by the great background singer, as well as, he was an artist in his own right, and songwriter David Lasley. And he wrote the song with a woman named Lana Marano. And they were both in a group that David led called Rosie. It was a group that had David and two female singers. And David was known for having a very high falsetto voice. Roll Me Through the Rushes, once again, a very, very deep lyric. The background vocals on Shaka's version were none other than Cissy Houston with Hamish Stewart of Average White Band and David himself. Like I said, Rosie, the group that David Lasley was in, actually recorded the song first in '76 on an album that Rosie had entitled Better Late Than Never. But of course, again, this is another thing I will repeatedly say about Chaka. She had ears. She really piped in on lyrical content. She knows what she likes. She knows what she's going to be able to deliver in a very emotional capacity. And so, just to keep it short, I'm not going to go with lyrics or anything this time, but an amazing vocal and an amazing lyric for Roll Me Through the Rushes. Great performance. Once again, producer Arif Martin. It's an incredible piece of work. I highly recommend you check it out. Exceptional performance from Chaka.
Yeah, the cool thing about those Arif Martin productions is it's a different vibe from the Rufus stuff. It's like a whole different kind of sound. So I hear what you're talking about. I hear exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was 78. I'm not sure if you said that, but 1978. So it's only 1 year removed from Ask Rufus.
That's right. 1978.
Late 78.
Yeah.
Well, nice deep pick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the fact that Will Lee, who a lot of people may not know, we all know who he is, but he's the white bass player from David Letterman. For you people out in the audience, I mean, he's one of the baddest cats that you'll ever see. And so that music, it's just always on point, man. And like I said, it's different. It's just different. Yeah, different.
Yeah, and that debut album, really set the tone. I mean, again, that she wasn't going to come out and just be a commercial artist. Like I said, she had a huge hit on that album. But when you go through the 10 songs on her debut record, it's a smorgasbord of stuff. Just so much wonderful material and deep stuff to get into. I just don't. I'm hesitating saying any song title stuff because somebody might pick something, but a really strong debut album from Chaka, and it just kept getting better and better with at least with those first 4 albums to me that Arif did. They were amazing, and then the final one being I Feel For You, which was different from the first 4, but still an iconic album in its own right as well.
Outstanding. Thank you, Scott. All right, Calvin, what do you got for your number 4?
Okay, he said not too commercial, but I was scared to kind of use this one because it's not really, it's commercial, but it's not necessarily commercial. I'm going to go with Got to Be There from this album. And I know that may sound, nobody probably was expecting this, probably people out in the viewing audience, but the reason why I'm going with this is because if you remember the original version that Michael Jackson did, it was during the time when his voice was changing. And basically Motown had him singing way too high. And Willie Hutch had to go in and basically fix the vocals so they could kind of, get at least half releasable. Well, Chaka took it, and with her voice being as what it was, to me, it fits her as much as I love the Motown stuff and all that other kind of stuff. The version that she did vocally and what she did with it, it fits more her than it does him. And I may get some pushback from people probably in the comments or whatever, but she did a masterful job on it. I mean, the background vocals, and I think this was one time that she didn't have, you know, the Helen Lowe's or the Vestas or nobody. I think she did all the background tracks as well as the powerful vocals on this, man, but got to be there. And, you know, you would think probably because of the duet with Rick James on there, most people has probably never really even listened to this album like that. But for a single, and when I first heard it, it was kind of like, okay. And then actually, as I heard it, it just grew on me, and it just grew on me, and it's just grew on me, man. But anyway, Got to Be There by Chaka Khan, probably one that y'all weren't expecting.
Yeah, I remember
man.
that very well.
I threw you a curve, huh, Marcus?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but I definitely, that's the song I think of when I think of that album. Because
Yeah.
I remember I just transferred schools, and it was a girl I liked when that song was out.
Okay.
Yeah, she ain't like me
Love
as
that.
much, but you know,
A girl got between you and Chaka? Come on, man. I think that
I'm a
went top
big
5 on
fan of that
R&B. If I
album.
don't.
It sold well.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember if it sold how well it sold, but I loved that album. It was very eclectic, avant-garde. Only 8 songs, but incredible stuff, man. There was several songs I wanted to pull from that one, and I went with the bebop medley. But one anecdote that I got from Chaka about that, I don't know, and I think she's waffled on it because I asked her about it twice. But I remember the very first time I interviewed Chaka, she told me she didn't really care for that song, but she gave it her best because her mother loved it. Her mother loved that song.
You would have never known by the vocal performance. I mean, she
You
sang
wouldn't. That's why she.
Last Drink of Water or something.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. You know, I distinctly remember that because I was like the stymie face when she told me that, you know, but I do remember the poignant part of it was that, you know, she said that her mother loved that. And so she poured her heart into it for her mom.
Wow.
You're mentioning her mom. I think someone maybe mentioned her sister Yvonne, but viewers and listeners should know and realize that it's a musical family. You know, Stevens, the brother, great singer in his own right, Mark, and sister Yvonne, who was known as Taka Boom and was with Undisputed Truth and did lots of studio work, even with P-Funk and things like that. So I don't know how many other siblings, if there are any others, but, you know, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And on that track, I just want to mention, because I don't think you touched on it, but Paul Jackson Jr. on guitar, and well, the others we already mentioned, Steve Ferroni, Will Lee are on that one as well. So yeah,
Wow.
Heavy hitters, man, heavy hitters.
Curveball for you.
That was definitely a curveball.
You went with 2 covers in a row.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Stop on by.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you, Calvin. And Marcus, what's up your sleeve for number 4?
all right. I'm going to go back to an album that's been visited twice already, but I'm going to go a little deeper into it. This one I'm picking because of the vocal performance, the song, the ambiance, the subject matter. And this is probably up there with Chaka's best vocals ever on anything. I'm going back to the Ask Rufus album. I'm going to the closer.
I know it.
Egyptian song. Yeah. And you see the signature there, but check this out. Check this out too though. Yeah, see.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah.
Did I give you my mailing address, Marcus? You have my mailing address? Send that over.
Yeah, I went to a lot to get them signatures. I won't even go into that story. But yeah, that Egyptian song is just very powerful, and she is just wailing to the point where even when you hear her just wailing on songs, this one is a higher level than that. It's whoa, like did she really just do that? So yeah, that one always knocked me out. Yeah, that Egyptian song is something else. The album closer from Ask Rufus, which they say is their best album.
Yep.
I agree. I think the only somewhat weaker track on there to me is the song before that, Better Days. But yeah.
Yeah, that's Better Days is probably the weakest song on the album, but it ain't weak. It's like, to me, every single song on that record is the bomb, but Better Days I would probably put at the bottom of everything on the record, but it's still dope. Only thing I'll add, Egyptian song is an epic song for Chaka. She co-wrote that with Walensky, and Claire Fisher did an amazing arrangement. It's like your Exodus movie, and it's very, very deep for her. That's talking about Egypt. It's talking about her connection, her spiritual connection to the motherland and past lives. I would be remiss if I didn't, give a shout out to my very dear and old friend, David Nathan. I mean, I think he and Chaka have probably sat and talked about that song in depth many, many times, in their meditations on, reincarnation, past lives, and whatnot. Says, I will come back there to sing, to laugh, to dance, I believe. And it's another deep autobiographical, very personal Chaka Khan song, just like Angel that I picked. So those are the things I would add to that, man. It's a mind blower and definitely a phenomenal finale to the Ask Rufus album.
Yeah, the term tour de force comes to mind for me. It's like one of those things you hear and you're just kind of slack jawed. It's like, so the first time, amazing.
Yeah. And I think she also redid it with Questlove, right? Questlove of The Roots has some kind of a deep love affair with that song. So he had an opportunity where he was doing something live with an orchestra. And so they did an arrangement of that with orchestra, and Chaka came and sang it. That's another piece of wonderful footage that I'm sure you can find on YouTube. And that's epic, to see Chaka perform that song with an orchestra. I think it was a dream come true of Questlove's. He always wanted to see that happen.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, I wasn't up on that. One thing I'll say too is that around that time, this comes after Earth, Wind, and Fire had started incorporating the pyramids into their live show and on the Spirit cover, but before All in All, which is really when you think about Egyptians and funk bands, that's the image most people think of. So this was like in between that, but they had the imagery, she had the song.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Great pick, Marcus. Thank you for that one.
Nobody was making music like that. Not like that. Not at that time.
No.
Thank you for picking that, Marcus, because again, I mean, it was something that I would have spoken on had I not. Did I speak on anything from Ask Rufus yet? Maybe I didn't. I think I couldn't choose which one, so I just... Yeah, I don't think I picked anything from that album, but it's my favorite.
That's ironic. Okay. Well, we're covering those bases for you, hopefully, Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, my pick for number 4, and thank you for that one, Marcus, I think is maybe in some ways a kindred spirit to the one you just picked, Marcus, because it also has that, kind of vibe, spirituality kind of thing. It's from the Rufus featuring Chaka Khan album, which is my personal favorite Rufus album. I think other than the aforementioned Jive Talkin' cover, it's just rock solid. I mean, every other track is killer to me. And so much of it didn't get airplay necessarily, but I would listen to these songs and think, man, this one should get some airplay. And it was a little challenging for me to pick a cut off this because I love several of them so much. It was really, like by a hair. But the one I'm picking from here is Everybody Has an Aura, which just has like this subtle groove to it. And just the way she sings that, everybody has an aura, but it will be unbroken, and then it breaks into sort of that Native American kind of rhythm, you know,
On
and
the
grooves on.
chorus.
What's that?
On the chorus.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
the straight ahead Indian groove, but there's a whole nother thing that I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just answering your whatever. But yeah, Andre Fisher's performance on that song is great on the drums. Continue. I'm sorry.
astonishing vocal performance to me. It was not a single, because as we mentioned before, the singles were "Sweet Thing," "Dance with Me," and for some reason, "Jive Talkin'." It was written by Gordon DeWitty. It's got like a really mysterious vibe and feel to it, which adds to the allure for me. And the album spent 6 weeks at number one, which I think we already said. Of course, the poster. This has that same, in the gatefold. And maybe my favorite Chaka shot ever. This one is just.
I wonder why.
Yeah. There's the wild
Look.
woman right there. I mean, that's just.
That back album cover is so dope that Erykah Badu, I forget what song it was, but she did a video where she's going to the record store, going through records, and then she sees herself in some of these album covers, and that's one of the back cover photographs that she recreated in that music video. I just can't remember the name of the song.
She did Honey in that album. I saw that video. She'd also
Yeah.
did Players
Yeah.
Honey, and I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Badu. Bladau.
Yeah. Well, that's my number 4 pick. Everybody has an aura. For those not familiar, go check it out.
Great pick, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you said the songwriter. I actually thought you were going with the song after that. But yeah, everybody has an aura. Okay.
We're talking
I
about
seriously
circles?
considered the song after it as well.
Circles.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. I kind of was listening to them both again. It's just like, which am I going to? Yeah. So that's the way it can be with Chaka on these records, I mean, it's just the smallest margin that you might pick one of them. And this is a case too. So, all right. Well, that concludes round 4. We're going to the final round. Number 5. Scott, what do you got first and for 5?
Again, so tough, so hard with your rules, man. But I think I'm gonna do something that some people probably missed because it was a B-side. A non-album B-side. You got to let me use this, Scott, because it's a non-album B-side of title track, What You Gonna Do For Me. I just had a great personal story with this song. Anyway, the song, first of all, is called Lover's Touch. It was written by Beloyd Taylor, who was an artist in his own right, great songwriter, and he also did some wonderful things on Earth, Wind, and Fire's Raise and Powerlight albums during that period when Columbia Records demanded that they get back to, the funk. So I had a actual discussion with my friend Herb Powell, who is the author of this amazing book about Earth, Wind, and Fire, right?
Great book.
It's a great book, man. Oh my God. A whole nother episode we can talk about that. But Lover's Touch is so badass that you wonder why the hell it didn't make it onto the album. I'm sure it's Steve Ferroni and probably Anthony Jackson on bass. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really seen true credits because it's a non-album B-side. It's a feel-good record. It's a swinging funk soul thing. It's just a great chorus in there. I want you to know what I'm feeling inside. The way, and I guess the hook is, the thing I love so much is that you have a lover's touch. And are you all familiar with this song?
It's not
Have you
one that
all heard this?
I've heard it, but I haven't paid that close attention to it like what you're schematically explaining.
Okay, man. Well, I'm just saying, when you hear it, it's like, how? Because she's had other non-album B-sides and stuff like that. But this one, it's just like, man, I mean, and then What You're Gonna Do for Me is an amazing album. I'm not gonna say, in my opinion, what could have come off to put that on there.
Here's the back cover.
Yes, sir. That's the album right there. What You Gonna Do for Me. But Lover's Touch is just such a great feel-good record. You just really wonder, how could that not have made it onto the record? How can nobody but the most diehard of Chaka fans know about it? It really should be known and played around the world on radio stations and dance clubs and house parties with the sock feet boogie and all of that, because it's just a really great feel-good song. And I swear to you guys, I had about 20 other songs. Like I said, when Scott first sent the thing out and said Chaka's baddest tunes, I had all funky stuff, man, that I really ended up not using. More things that she composed with other people, records that she did with other people, like this
Lady Madonna. Yeah.
Lady Madonna with Lenny White and stuff like that with Quincy, Love You, Mom. Mom loves stuff like that. But I went with Lover's Touch because, I always kind of feel I take my role here on this program as I like to introduce people to the other things, things that you might not have heard about, deep cuts, whatever. So for anybody that hasn't heard Lover's Touch, please run to YouTube now and you'll know what I'm saying. Anyway, I held up the Maurice White book real quick, 15 seconds. My buddy Herb Powell wrote that book. We're having a conversation. B. Lloyd Taylor is big time in the Earth, Wind, and Fire thing. And I laid it on him. I said, man, you remember that cut that Chaka did that B. Lloyd wrote? And he hadn't heard it. So while we're still talking, he pulls it up, and I swear he had a cardiac arrest. He was like, Scott, oh my God, this is just, so shout out to Herb Powell. I'm going to pop my collar because, he didn't know about that tune and he lost his mind when I introduced him to it. So that's how badass the song is, y'all. Chaka Khan, Lover's Touch, B-side of the 45 of What You Gonna Do for Me. Scotty out.
Yeah, to your point too, didn't Beloit Taylor, he wrote Getaway too, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get away.
He's
Thank
bad.
you.
Yeah.
Calvin, you ready to bring it home with number 5?
Yeah, this is tough because Scott said, he said it. There's so many just different ways I want to go, because when you think about Chaka Khan, there's not 20 bad songs. You know what I mean? There's not 20 bad songs. It's just so much to pick from. I'm going to go with something that's actually commercial. I don't have the album in front of me, but I do have it. I'm going to go with Ain't Nobody. Another Hawk Walensky kind of, matter of fact, he coined that. Matter of fact, if you read Quincy Jones's book, Quincy actually tried to get that song for him for Thriller. And he was like, nah, I think I'll hold on to this for a little bit. Great song. Matter of fact, when I got first hooked up with Warner Brothers, in reference to getting on their servicing list, I don't know if you know her, Scott, but Bruce Peterson's wife with P-Funk, she worked on the Karen.
Absolutely. I forget her name right now.
She worked, Laverne Antoine. She got me on the servicing list. You know what I'm talking? She went to lock with Patrice and all of them. I literally, when I got there, in reference to getting on that list, I was trying to get all back catalog videos from and that was like the first video that I actually went after. And, it's just a basic, but back then we didn't really have music video shows or whatever, not like that. So just to see Chaka on anything doing that actually did it for me. That one of my all-time favorites, and there was 2 or 3 different songs I want to go with, but I'm going to go with that. Great background vocals, not too over the top. The strength is still there, the diaphragm breathing and all of that. She definitely, I think all of us have all said this. There was something in her voice that's just, and I'm not comparing her with Luther Vandross, but those kind of artists, there's just something in their voice when you hear it and you're just blown. And that song kind of does it for me, as commercial as that might be for some people. But that's one of my all-time favorites by her. Ain't Nobody, Chaka.
The Rufus song that people think is Chaka solo.
Oh, man, that pisses me off. You talk about people posting stuff on Facebook incorrectly. That song, so many times just gets posted as a Chaka Khan song. And,
but vocally, that's what she does to you. Because I have the double album, I just couldn't find it. Usually, live at the Stomping at the whatever. But
Boy, yeah.
I'll pull it out for you. I'll pull it out. But the
I mean,
only thing I wanted to say is so Rufus, because Tony Maiden takes an incredible, just little guitar licks that he's playing on there. Hawk wrote it by his damn self. It's an iconic song for Chaka. And the last thing I want to say is that if you go on YouTube and you look up any performances within the first couple of years that the song was out and Chaka's actually singing it live, she has so much fun playing around with how she rhythmically delivers the lyrics. I mean, when the song was new, she was really going for it. Now I'm sure it's probably just like I Feel For You. She probably sick of it. Can't leave a stage without doing it. But I just posted one on my YouTube page, and then it disappeared. I had to take it down because I forget which TV show it was from, but I was screaming. I was like, y'all, do you hear what Chaka's doing to this song? It was new to her, and she was killing it. I'm going to get your album cover. Great pick, man.
Yeah.
The way she enunciates those R's, especially,
Yeah.
And that song was also in that movie Breakin', right?
Yep, it sure was.
Yeah.
That's right. Turbo and Ozone were doing their thing. Matter of fact, that was when they were first really getting their routine tight. And once that's what they were playing in the background. That's right. Wow.
Yeah. I think the following year, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the five songs I was talking about. That's one of her signatures. And I think the reason why people think it's a Chaka song is, two reasons. One, it was on her Best Of CD that came out in the 90s. Yeah. And that was the first hit Rufus had for a while since the Master Jam album. And Chaka had a nice little run in between before Ain't Nobody. So people just kind of, I think by that time, they had kind of not forgotten about Rufus, but they seemed like they were out of the picture and it was strictly on her.
It made it all the more tragic that they were not going to do more. It's like,
right, yeah.
Man, they still got this much gas in the tank, and come on, guys. You know? And that was one side, kind of like Gratitude. One side was new tracks, and the three sides were live.
Yeah, but I'll say, unlike Gratitude, they could have stuck with just Ain't Nobody. It could have just been that one. So I would have rather had some of the other live songs. Because remember, on the inside of the cover, they got the picture of the set list. So they did Everlasting Love. They did Best of Your Heart. They did Hollywood, I think, isn't on the album. And a couple of those, I think Everlasting Love got released as a B-side to one of the singles. But yeah, I would rather have those live performances than those other three studio songs. They could have just given us Ain't Nobody and the other three live songs.
Yeah, Everlasting Love was stuck on the soundtrack of Night Shift, I think is where that ended up. And I agree with you. I wasn't a big fan of 1 Million Kisses or the other song, Try Little Understanding, but her version, her cover of Don't Go to Strangers was definitely, it actually should have been on one of her records, but because there's really no Rufus going on that. But that was a nice thing to hear on that record.
Great pick. Iconic. Thanks, Calvin.
It's a biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus, what do you got for number 5?
All right. I was hoping one of you gentlemen would have picked this already, but since it hasn't been chosen and Scott is the only one left after me, I don't want to take a chance on this song not being included because it has to be. We've spoken on another song from the album, but not the song that made the album sell and what established Chaka as a solo act. I gotta go with I'm Every Woman. And I know one of you gentlemen has the album. There we go. I'm Every Woman, a song that she says she was actually afraid of when it was first brought to her because she thought the concept of being every woman was just huge. Like, whoa, I don't know about all that. But she went ahead and tackled it. And you talk about wailing. She is killing it on that song. The track is killing. I mean, it's an all time classic, and it wouldn't be right for us to pick the greatest, bad
Yeah.
Shaka songs without this song being in there. So I got to go with "I'm Every Woman."
Didn't Ashford and Simpson put that together too, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah,
Right.
Composed it. Yep.
yep.
They composed it, and Arif Martin produced it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, good call on that one. And
Yeah.
of course, Whitney had her version.
And there are people who actually try to say Whitney's version was better. I'm like, stop, no.
And you know what? And Scott Galloway knows what I'm talking about. When I actually got Ain't Nobody video, the I'm Every Woman video was on that real. Laverne put that on and you have to see the video to really, the way she's dressed,
Yeah,
it's
with
like
the different
4 or 5
outfits.
different looks. And
Yep.
it's like, that's the second best thing to that Pink album cover is looking at that video with her looking 5 different ways. Yeah.
That's a special song. I mean, I'm a straight black male all day long, but sometimes when they get to those modulations at the end, it just feels so damn good. I can't remember, there was a time within the last 5 years that I heard Shaka live or saw her on a TV show or something doing that song. And I think I wrote something that was along the lines of, man, what it must feel like to be a woman, and sing that song when it gets to the ending part where, when it either it's a key change or a modulation. I don't know which one. I'm not going to mess up, so my singer friends can lay that out for me. But it just soars, all the changes. Then she brings it back to but before that, it's like, it leaps to this and then it comes back down to this. And, it's like you could just imagine women just being completely into themselves at that point. I'm snatching the bra off. I'm doing all the things. This is me today, right now. It's just an anthem. And like I started off with, I'm a woman, I'm a backbone.
Yeah.
That's I can get with, that's funky, that's sexy. I talk about that all day long, but I can't speak on I'm Every Woman. That is definitely an anthem for women, and man, to this day.
Another number one hit.
Number one, numero uno, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was any thought that she might not continue on past Rufus, that, definitely solidified that. Yeah. I was going to say, if you had gone last, it would have been perfect bookends with your starting with I'm a woman and then I'm every woman.
Right.
But, I'm going to mess that up. So, but yeah, good pick, Marcus. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Great pick.
Well, I got to say, I'm shocked that a couple of the songs have not gotten picked. I got to believe they'll be in our honorables, but because my final pick is a little off the beaten path. And going back to that 1982 album, Shaka, Calvin, if you still got it handy, if you could show that 1982 record again that had your pick on it.
Yes.
And Scott had a pick from it too. And I bet you everybody's surprised that there's going to be 3 picks off that album.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay. It was, it's probably my favorite solo album of hers, personally. It's a phenomenal record. When that hit my ears, I was just like, oh, yes, this has everything. Everything I love about Chaka is here, finally, in one place. And the track I'm going to go with closes that album. It's as funky as she ever got, which is Pass It On. And
What?
yeah,
What?
Yeah.
that is, she burns down the house on Pass It On. That is some serious funk. And I was so glad that she returned to funk on this album with the Rick James thing that was mentioned before, Slow Dancing.
Yes.
It was interesting that it was just titled her name again. So to me, it was like her making a statement of reinvention with that album again. That track again was written by Lomi Washburn and Tony Maiden. And I have a quote here from the well-known music critic Robert Christgau talking about this record. He said, quote, achieves the oft-promised funk bebop fusion with some spritz. And so there were people out there that got it besides us, even some of the music critics. And the band on this one again was Will Lee, Steve Ferroni again, Hiram Bullock, Ronnie Buchanan on keys, and brother Mark Stevens doing the tube voice. Reef Martin again producing, and this song was not a single. And I had here, actually, you were correct that Bebop Medley did win a Grammy. So,
Thank you.
yeah. And this album also had, I think we touched on before, Hamish Stewart, Paul Jackson Jr., Anthony Jackson was on this album, Michael Brecker was on this album, Joe Henderson. What a murderer's row. And I just think she hits out of the park with Pass It On. If you haven't listened to that lately or you don't know it, man, throw it on. It's serious funk. And the way she does, like only Chaka can, man. Just the way she twists the words, and it's quintessential Chaka.
Period. Four on the floor funk. That is, Pass It On is a jam. And I think that it did get a remix on her double album remix album. I think that somebody took a crack at that one of those New York or Chicago DJs, somebody. But yeah, I think, us jam fans definitely do agree that fourth album was just so special, so special beyond the things that people heard on the radio or whatever. I mean, it was, kind of avant-garde, amazing Chaka, because my favorites would have also included Twisted and So Not to Worry, Slow Dancing with Rick. Oh my God, there's a whole story behind that. I wish somebody had picked it. I would have shared the story. But
he said don't do duets. That's the reason why I didn't pick Slow Dance, because I was going to pick it.
No, I think duets were fine if it was on her album.
Oh man, because that was one of the. I was like, man. I said, okay.
What can be an honorable for you now?
Okay.
All right. So speaking of that, let's get to our honorables. Great picks, guys, for the 20.
Okay, I can't wait for this. Hot Butterfly was one of my honorables, as well as Clouds, Whitney Houston, Cissy Houston doing background vocals and stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't get it in, but it was definitely on one of the lists.
Oh yeah, I mean there will be people that are just highly upset at the list that it doesn't have those two songs on it. But I'm sorry, my contributions I know were way left. But yeah, Clouds and Papillon, man, have great stories behind them, and they're great songs.
Yeah, and that's the hit version of Papillon, because the one Luther did with Bionic Boogie.
Yeah, Bionic Boogie.
Yeah.
No, it was a club. It was a disco club type of a vibe, but I don't even think it was a hit there. But it was played in discos.
It's popular in Chicago, but I don't know. I don't remember it at the time, but I remember that the Chaka version when my mom or somebody bought that one. We had that one at home, and I played that one many times. Yeah, so that was one of my alternates too.
Oh, yours too. Okay. Well, keep going, Calvin. Do up to like 3 more or so.
Okay. Now, alternate for me on this was Pack My Bags, I'm Out the Door, and Please Pardon Me. Those were 2 that I was going to go with. Pack My Bags in particular, I was really crazy about, me and the baby going to miss you. We only wish you was with us. And that stuff that's going on underneath, that was that was one. I almost went with that instead of Stop On By, but I'm a woman, I'm a backbone, so I tried to do something a little bit different,
It's a great song for the yin and yang. It starts off so tender with the great Nate Morgan. That was his, another one of his great contributions to that group. He wasn't in there long at all, but that piano solo that leads into Pack My Bags is a masterpiece. And the song starts off so beautiful and then just gets into some stank funk. I pack my bags, come past the door. I mean, it's just a great yin yang song.
Yep.
This was another one I was going to go with. Love You All My Lifetime. I don't know if anybody that was on anybody's list. That's another one.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Just checking, Yeah.
Dylan Degale cello.
Yeah.
Involved with that one. Yep.
You got 1 or 2 more?
Yep. I was going to go with Fool's Paradise from this album. I love the way that she hits her vocals, and Bobby is just basically underneath doing like almost the opposite. Yeah, Fool's Paradise. Was that wasn't released as a single, right?
No.
I know they did
it was.
No, it
No,
was not. It was not.
It wasn't?
no.
It got airplay in LA. That's for damn sure. Okay, my
Dance
spot
with me,
is
sweet thing, and
KGLH.
jive talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
had airplay in Chicago too. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely played that in LA.
They did it on Soul Train.
Yeah, and
Look
speaking
at that.
speaking on Soul Train, by this being Chicago, he was really, people don't realize, Scott, we all know this, but Don was very responsible for helping to really break them. I remember watching those episodes as they were actually happening. Not reruns. I mean, he was really behind Rufus in reference to like really having them on, like from day one. He was with Don Cornelius was with it. Rest in peace. Shout out to Don in Chicago. And I know it's personal for you, Marcus. You live in Chicago and came up underneath Joe Cobb. He came up underneath Joe Cobb, you guys, you youngsters, you know, the DJ, or whatever. Marcus has, been trained and been around all those people. So I had to bring up Don since you brought up Chicago,
All right. So good, Calvin? I think I was 5, right?
Oh yeah, that's 5 for me.
Okay, well, we got to move on. So good alternates. Honorable mentions for you, Marcus?
One that I still hear parties now. Should have been a single. Should have been the second single off the What You Gonna Do For Me album. I Know You, I Live You.
Ooh.
That's a banger. That was one for me. Also, there's a song she did in '86. The album that came after I Feel For You Didn't Do That. Well, as a matter of fact, it's right behind you, Kyle, in the Destiny album.
Okay.
There was a single called Earth to Mickey.
Yeah.
Not a hit.
Yeah.
But there is a version on this 12-inch single. It is the CK's duet space rap high energy mix. And that thing is a killer. I first heard it at a party in 1989. The DJ was Terry Hunter. Shout out to Terry Hunter. He wasn't the first one to play it here in Chicago because I've heard tapes of Ron Hardy and some other folks, but that was my first thing. And I remember talking to some cats at school, like, man, what was that one song he played? Man, he was killing. That Earth to Mickey is a banger. That's a very strong record in the Chicago house scene that even a lot of DJs here don't really have it or play it. But when you hear it, you'll never hear anything like that. It's a killer track.
Is that Charlie Singleton behind that? Charlie Singleton from Cameo?
It's a good question. I don't see his name. Maybe he's credited on the album. I don't see his name.
Is he the composer? Who wrote it? I thought I could be wrong. I know Charlie did something with her.
Yeah. Charlie Singleton.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. But yeah, this particular mix though is definitely the one.
Does it say who did that mix?
No. Well, I don't see.
Might be on the back cover, but I don't want to waste Scott's time. But yeah, it might be on the back cover of that 12-inch. I have that, but I don't have it with artwork. I just have a white label.
Okay.
Yeah.
Papillon Circles from we mentioned it earlier when Scott picked Everybody Has an Aura. Circles was one of my alternates, and I think that was it. Yeah, because the other ones are At Midnight. My love will lift you up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, that was one for me.
The one up tempo song from Ask Rufus.
Right, the banger, the funk banger.
Yeah.
That was the lead single too, so it was really kind of misleading for some folks because it was this lead, super funky track, and then
Another number one hit.
Like it on the record.
yeah.
Another number one hit.
All right, thank you for those, Marcus. Alternatives, honorable mentions rather for you, Scott.
Oh my goodness! Like I said, I had 20. I had so many. Man, I love Chaka Khan. Quandary from Camouflage, which nobody touched today. That album, but Quandary, which was written by Tony and Chaka. Oh my God, I love that song. It's got steel drums by Vince Charles. The song is talking about like you have this, you have that, you have all the things, but the one thing you need is me. That's why. And one of the key repetitive lines is get off the floor. Like somebody like has everything and they're just, got their head in their hands like, oh, woe is me. And it's like, get off the floor. The last thing you need is me. So I love Quandary off of the Camouflage album. I also, like he said, pack my bags. Let me pull this list up. Oh my good, Love Has Fallen on Me from the first album, a cover of a song that was on the very last Rotary Connection album that was written by Charles Stepney and Andrew Lloyd Webber, who went on to write, musicals, Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, all that. Love Has Fallen on Me has musical theater aspirations to it. It's badass. I also, Love is Strange. We couldn't use anything of her collaborating with other people, but I lost my dear friend Phil Upchurch last year, and they redid the Mickey and Sylvia song from 1956. It was a #1 record for 2 weeks for Mickey and Sylvia. So sexy. Chaka singing and teasing Phil vocally, and him answering her with some space age guitar stuff. Very, very nice. And Slow Dancing, which he's already talked about, Lady Madonna cover of the Beatles tune that she did with Lenny White. And my last, I don't know if that's 5. I think I might have one more. The last one I'm going to go with will be Earth Song from Ask Rufus. That was the one from Ask Rufus that I was going to go with. A beautiful song from her, a meditation basically about, how much she's controlled and by and loves and appreciates, the moon, the stars, the sun, and all of that. And if any of you, all of you out there who are fans of Chaka now know that she's been doing monthly guided meditations on her website. So these are things, that she's been about as a woman and a human being for decades. So Earth Song kind of shows you, the connection that she has, along with Egyptian Song, to spiritual, otherworldly, astrological, or at least geological, whatever phenomenon. So I love Earth Song.
Outstanding. So really surprising to me that nobody picked Tell Me Something Good. That's really the hit that broke the group and Chaka, and what a classic. First 45 I ever bought of theirs. So, yeah, I got to include that. Stevie Wonder's track, and supposedly he had a little thing for Chaka, like so many did, and was hanging around the studio, hoping maybe he could get somewhere with Chaka, but yeah. And then you mentioned Earth, Wind, and Fire, and there's a common thread there, and that Chaka was on that Celebrating the Music of Earth, Wind, and Fire compilation, and she did just a killer version of Shining Star, I thought. So I don't know if you guys have heard that one?
I missed that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, check it out. Go to YouTube. Shining Star, man, she blows it like Maybe Your Baby, like the other covers we mentioned. Yeah. She does justice to that one too.
One that blew me away on that album was Michelle and Cello, who took Fantasy just 5,000 miles away from what Earth, Wind, and Fire did. And when I asked Maurice about it, he said, the first time I heard that, I ran around my living room screaming. He couldn't believe what Michelle did with Fantasy. He was blown away, and it's hard to blow Maurice White away.
I was disappointed that cover was not on this album, though, because it was the same year, 2007, the Funk This.
Oh,
Funk
wow.
That, Funk This.
Funk This.
Yeah. A few other picks for mine, honorables. Let's see. I really like the cover she did of We Can Work It Out. Again, another one that Stevie, I think, also did a cover of that Beatles track. Yep. And Chaka tore it up. And Ain't Nothing But a Maybe.
Nice.
Really cool track.
Another Ashford and Simpson. Great song.
And you guys named so many of them, but I got to go back and do Ooh, I Like Your Lovin'.
Yeah. I like that.
How can you not swoon when she sings that, right?
That's funny. That one, yeah, that kills me with the little piano. Ding,
Oh,
ding,
you
ding,
just reminded me
ding.
of another one I forgot. Little Boy Blue.
Oh
Um,
my God. So deep.
Yeah.
Another outside, I don't know who that guy, Jim Garrison, whatever his name was, you know, somebody just heard that song, I'm sure of Shaka. It's like, we must do that. And Claire Fisher did a great string arrangement on it. That's another deep, deep. That's the Shaka I love. Little Boy Blue. Thank you, brother. That was definitely another
I think
one.
she said that's one of her favorites too.
Yeah, man. That song is deep.
and that shows
That's
too,
deep.
just even when she's somewhat restrained for her, it's still something special.
Yeah.
It's got to
Mhm.
that point you just made. Magic in Your Eyes is one that does that for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, oh man, just
Yeah,
man,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that. I love the places that one goes musically, instrumentally. You know, that there's like two or three different parts to that song instrumentally, and Shaka is just floating over them, man. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. And like I said, the whole Ask Rufus album, forget about it. Masterpiece.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of masterpieces on this show, and it wraps up our official choices for this episode. Before we sign off, as we usually do, I want to go around the horn here and see if anyone has a final word and something they'd like to promote. So I'll just go up to the upper left clockwise and let Calvin start us off.
Oh, I'm just enjoying the educational aspect of it because, like I said before we actually start taping, I enjoy being on, keeping company like this with music gorillas, where you really have to be on your game because I've been alive 60 years. I've been in the music more years than I care to remember. And every time I'm on, especially with Scott Galloway and with Marcus and with you or whoever, Monty Croft or whatever, I always still learn. And as long as that aspect of it, I love being on this. I really do, Scott. I kid you not. I really love this, man. I love it.
Well, thank you for all you bring, Calvin. We appreciate it. And
Yeah.
Marcus, final thoughts and anything you'd like to promote?
Nothing to promote because I got some things that may be happening that I can't talk about yet. But I just enjoy being a part of this. It's great. It's fun. I don't talk music much. I'm typically just reading and watching old interviews and concerts and deep diving into catalogs and all of that. But when I can learn and contribute, I like that. So yeah, this is cool.
All right. Well, thank you again, Marcus. Appreciate your contributions. Scott, what do you got?
Man, I just echo the sentiments of Calvin and Marcus. It's always a groove to do these podcasts and revel and talk about music with folks that are as passionate and informed about it as I am. So I dig it. Keep me in your thoughts, your prayers, and everything because I'm really looking forward to this year being great for me. And my website is ascottgalloway.net. So you can check out my old stuff, but hopefully a lot more new stuff there. Respect.
Fantastic. Thank you as always, Scott. Pleasure. And I want to let everybody know that you can see interviews on the Truth and Rhythm podcast at funkandstuff.net or on YouTube of both Andre Fisher and Kevin Murphy, multi-part interviews with two of the original Rufus guys. So check those out. With that, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Jam Fans Forum. Check out the description of this video for links to the songs we talked about. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribing, what's the deal? Get with it. Drop your own personal choices for the top 5 Chaka songs of all time into the comments. Also, tell us what other categories you'd like to see on this program. Next time around, and this kind of ties into a little bit, we were like feeling it a little bit. Next time around, Jam Fans will reveal Earth, Wind, & Fire's best songs of all time. So that's going to be another fun one. So for now, as always, this is Scott, Dr. GX Goldfine, saying keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.